Hare Krishna, everyone. Welcome to Bhaktiville. We have a full house here tonight. We have Shell Corleone is here, and Greece is here, and our tech person, Bhaktivimulus, is here. I'm sorry we're not able to stream live on Facebook tonight, but we're going to post it on Facebook, and you can listen to it later. So tonight's chapter is titled The Property of the Impoverished. This is the teachings of Queen Kunti that we're reading. Krishna is the property of the poor and the bankrupt. And in this chapter, Srila Prabhupada elaborates on Queen Kunti's meaning of this phrase. This is chapter 10, which starts on page 91 of the PDF or page 61 of the book. And let me post all of that here in chat if you would like to reference that. But before we get started, please let me offer my obeisances. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prashtaya Bhutale Srimati Bhaktivedanta Swaminiti Namane. I offer my respectful obeisances unto His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, who is very dear to Lord Krishna, having taken shelter at his lotus feet. Panchakalpa Tarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhyevacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. I also offer my respectful obeisances unto the Vaishnava devotees of the Lord here, everywhere, past, present, future, all of them. They are just like desire trees and can fulfill the desires of everyone, and they are full of compassion for the fallen, conditioned souls. Thank you. Okay, Bhakti says it's on the board. Yes, that's the one we're on, number 10. You betcha. All right, so let's look at that verse, and we'll do the word for word first, and then the Sanskrit, then the English. So word for word, you can follow along with what's on the board. Namaha, all obeisances unto you. Akinchana vitaya, unto the property of the materially impoverished. Nivritta, completely transcendental to the actions of the material modes. Guna, material modes. Vrittaye, affection. Atma aramaya, one who is self-satisfied. Shantaya, the most gentle. Kaivalya pataye, unto the master of the monas. Namaha, bowing down. So I tripped over that Atma aramaya, because usually we just say Atma Rama. But the last A of Atma and the beginning A of Aramaya are put together. So it's Atmaramaya is what I'm used to seeing. Anyway, the verse in Sanskrit. Namo kinchana vitaya nivritta guna vrittaye Atmaramaya shantaya kaivalya pataye namaha. And the translation in English. My obeisances are unto you, who are the property of the materially impoverished. You have nothing to do with the actions and reactions of the material modes of nature. You are self-satisfied, and therefore you are the most gentle and are master of the monas. And that's the Srimad Bhagavatam verse, first canto, chapter 8, verse 27. Let me close that. All right. So page 91 of the PDF, page 61 of the book, chapter 10, the property of the impoverished. A living being is finished as soon as there is nothing to possess. Therefore, a living being cannot be, in the real sense of the term, a renouncer. A living being renounces something for gaining something more valuable. A student sacrifices his childish proclivities to gain better education. A servant gives up his job for a better job. Similarly, a devotee renounces the material world, not for nothing, but for something tangible in spiritual value. Srila Rupa Goswami, Sanatana Goswami, and Srila Raghunath Das Goswami, and others, gave up their worldly pomp and prosperity for the sake of the service of the Lord. They were big men in the worldly sense. The Goswamis were ministers in the government service of Bengal, and Srila Raghunath Das Goswami was the son of a big zamindar of his time. A zamindar is a landowner. But they left everything to gain something superior to what they previously possessed. The devotees are generally without material prosperity, but they have a very secret treasure house in the lotus feet of the Lord. There is a nice story about Srila Sanatana Goswami. He had a touchstone with him, and this stone was left in a pile of refuse. So a touchstone is a stone, and if you touch something, it turns into gold. So it'd be pretty valuable to have if you wanted to get rich quick. So touchstone. So a needy man took it, but later on wondered why the valuable stone was kept in such a neglected place. He therefore asked Sanatana Goswami for the most valuable thing, and then he was given the holy name of the Lord. A kinchana means one who has nothing to give materially, or someone who's poor. A factual devotee, or Mahatma, does not give anything material to anyone, because he has already left all material assets. He can, however, deliver the supreme asset, namely the personality of Godhead, because he is the only property of a factual devotee. The touchstone of Sanatana Goswami, which was thrown in the rubbish, was not the property of the Goswami. Otherwise, it would not have been kept in such a place. This specific example is given for the neophyte devotees just to convince them that material hankerings and spiritual advancement go ill together. Unless one is able to see everything as spiritual in relation with the Supreme Lord, one must always distinguish between spirit and matter. A spiritual master like Srila Sanatana Goswami, although personally able to see everything as spiritual, set this example for us only because we have no spiritual vision. Advancement of material vision, or material civilization, is a great stumbling block for spiritual advancement. Such material advancement entangles the living being in the bondage of a material body, followed by all sorts of material miseries. Such material advancement is called anartha, or things not wanted. Actually, this is so. In the present context of material advancement, one uses lipstick at a cost of 50 cents, and there are so many unwanted things, which are all products of the material conception of life. You can tell this is a little dated. Lipstick is not 50 cents anymore. By diverting attention to so many unwanted things, human energy is spoiled without achievement of spiritual realization, the prime necessity of human life. The attempt to reach the moon is another example of spoiling energy, because even if the moon is reached, the problems of life will not be solved. The devotees of the Lord are called akinchanas because they have practically no material assets. Such material assets are all products of the three modes of material nature. They foil spiritual energy, and thus the less we possess such products of material nature, the more we have a good chance of spiritual progress. Sorry, my cat's doing something she shouldn't be. Okay. Sorry. The Supreme Personality of Godhead has no direct connection with material activities. All his acts and deeds, which are exhibited even in this material world, are spiritual and without affection for the modes of material nature. In the Bhagavad Gita, the Lord says that all his acts, even his appearance and disappearance in and out of the material world, are transcendental, and one who knows this perfectly shall not take his birth again in this material world, but will go back to Godhead. Okay, so there's some comments here in the in chat. Greece says, there's no good cheese on the moon, so why visit? And Bhaktiville, you said, this is very tough to follow. What is it that's tough to follow? To live that way, yes. Well, as always, it's not something that you falsely renounce your life and do this thing, because all those things will just bubble back up again. Live your life. Try and bring Krishna into as many aspects as you possibly can. And as time goes on, things will just fall away. And eventually, possibly, your life will be a kinchana. So it is difficult to live that way. But like I said, don't sweat the small stuff. You know, do what you can, and gradually things will just drop away. All right. Material disease. Oh, I'm sorry. Did that answer or help alleviate your problem with the discussion? Okay, yes. Thank you. All right. The material disease is due to hankering after and lording it over material nature. This hankering is due to an interaction of the three modes of nature, and neither the Lord nor the devotees have attachment for such false enjoyment. Therefore, the Lord and the devotees are called Nivritta Guna Vritti. They have the job of giving up the gunas. That's the translation of that. The perfect Nivritta Guna Vritti is the Supreme Lord, because he never becomes attracted by the modes of material nature, whereas the living beings have such a tendency. Some of them are entrapped by the illusory attraction of material nature. Because the Lord is the property of the devotees, and the devotees are the property of the Lord reciprocally, the devotees are certainly transcendental to the modes of material nature. That is a natural conclusion. Such unalloyed devotees are distinct from the mixed devotees who approach the Lord for mitigation of miseries and poverty, or because of inquisitiveness and speculation. And I just wanted to say something about unalloyed. So an alloy is a mixture of different metals. So something that's not alloyed, that's unalloyed, is pure. So Srila Prabhupada uses the word unalloyed the same as someone might use the word pure. So unalloyed, unalloyed. The unalloyed devotees and the Lord are transcendentally attached to one another. For others, the Lord has nothing to reciprocate, and therefore he is called Atmarama, self-satisfied. Self-satisfied as he is the master of all monas, who seek to merge into the existence of the Lord. Such monas merge within the personal effulgence of the Lord are called the personal effulgence is called the Brahmajyoti. But the devotees enter into the transcendental pastimes of the Lord, which are never to be understood as material. So he's referencing here the last part of the verse that we're reading that says he's the master of the monas. To be materially impoverished is the first qualification of a devotee. One who does not possess anything in this material world, but simply possesses Krishna, is called a kinchana. The word a kinchana means one who has lost all material possessions. As long as we have even the slightest tinge of an idea of becoming happy materially in some way or another, we shall have to accept a material body. Nature is so kind that according to the way we want to enjoy this material world, she will give us a suitable body under the direction of the Lord. Because the Lord is situated in everyone's heart, he knows everything. Therefore, knowing that we still want something material, he will give us another body. Yes, take it. Krishna wants us to have full experience through which to understand that by material gain we shall never be happy. This is Krishna's desire. There's something I was going to say about this. Oh, so as Srila Prabhupada is talking about this, and he's explaining that devotees are a kinchana, you can use this the other way around and use that as a qualification and say, oh, that person is wanting all these things. They are not an unalloyed. They're not a pure devotee. So you can, anytime he's talking like this, you can turn it the other way and use it as a sieve, as a way to understand who might be a pure devotee and what the qualifications are of that devotee. Not to go around and say, oh, he's not a pure devotee, but no, I'm saying if someone is saying, Yahoo, I'm a pure devotee, and yet they drove up in this Mercedes Benz and, like that, then probably not so much. All right, back to this. Because we are part and parcel of Krishna, who has full freedom, we too have full freedom, although the quantity of that freedom is quite minute. Although the quantity of salt in a drop of seawater is not comparable to the quantity of salt in the ocean, the chemical composition of both the drop and the ocean is the same. Similarly, whatever we have in a minute quantity is present in its fullness in Krishna. Janmadyasya yataha. That's from the very first verse of Srimad Bhagavatam. And it means, from whom the manifest universes are created, sustained, and destroyed. For example, we have a propensity to steal, to take things that belong to others. Why? Because Krishna has the same propensity, which I think is a hilarious thing to say, but it's true. Unless the propensity is to steal is present in the absolute truth, how can it be present in us? Krishna is known as the butter thief. But Krishna's stealing and our stealing are different. Because we are materially contaminated, our stealing is abominable. Whereas on the spiritual absolute platform, the same stealing is so nice that it is enjoyable. Mother Yashoda, therefore, enjoys Krishna's activities of stealing. This is the difference between material and spiritual. Grace has a question. It's not my business if people steal from stores. Why should I care? Well, yeah, no. I mean, we're the boss of ourselves. We're not the boss of everybody else. But as a culture or as a society, we do have standards that we don't steal. But it's not your job to police that. That's what the police do. All right. Exactly, he says. Any activities, back to the book, any activities that are spiritual are all good, and any activities that are material are all bad. This is the difference between spiritual and material. The so-called morality and goodness of this material world is all bad. But in the spiritual world, even so-called immorality is good. This we must understand. For example, to dance with the wives of others at the dead of night is immoral, at least according to the Vedic civilization. Even today in India, a young woman will never be allowed to go to a young man at the dead of night to dance with him. But we shall find in Srimad Bhagavatam that as soon as all the gopis, the young cowherd girls of Vrindavan, heard Krishna's flute, they immediately came to dance with him. Now, according to material conceptions, this is immoral, but from the spiritual point of view, this is in accord with the greatest morality. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu therefore said, Ramya Kachid Upasana Rajavadu Varganaya Kalpita. Oh, there is no better mode of worship than that which was conceived by the Brajavadus, the damsels of Vrindavan. And I just wanted to read that whole verse because this is a famous verse that it's in the Chaitanya Mata Manjusa by Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti, and it's some people say that the Gaudiya, our philosophy, is summarized in this verse. So here's the whole verse. The Supreme Personality of Godhead, Lord Krishna, the son of Nanda Maharaj, is worshipped along with his transcendental abode Vrindavan. The most pleasing form of worship for the Lord is that which was performed by the gopis of Vrindavan. Srimad Bhagavatam is the spotless authority on everything, and pure love of Godhead is the ultimate goal of life for all. These statements, for which we have the highest regard, are the opinion of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Great verse, eh? All right, back to the text. After Chaitanya Mahaprabhu accepted the renounced order of life, he very strictly avoided association with women. Even in his family life, he never played any jokes with women. He was very humorous, but only with men, not with women. Once he spoke some joking words with his wife, Vishnupriya. When Shachi Mata, Lord Chaitanya's mother, was searching for something, he jokingly said, "Maybe your daughter-in-law has taken it." But in his whole life, these are the only joking words we find in relation to women. He was very strict. After he accepted sannyas, the renounced order, no woman could even come near him to offer obeisances. Rather, they would offer obeisances from a distant place. Nonetheless, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said again, Ramya Kachad Upasana Braj Badu Vargena Yakalpita. There is no conception of worship better than that which was conceived by the damsels of Vrindavan. What was their conception? They wanted to love Krishna at any risk, and this is never immoral. Bhaktiville has a comment. The Christians say, love the Lord with all your might as the highest rule. Yes, that's it. I also wanted to just add a note of caution about this. Everything that's spiritual is good and everything that's material is bad. So a lot of devotees say, well, I'm doing this, it's spiritual, so it's good. Even though it's not spiritual, it's motivated by their own ego. So that's a little tricky thing there. You have to really review your own thoughts. If you think you're doing something spiritual, are you? You know, is it motivated by your own ego? Do you want to be famous, or all these different things, rich, famous, or are you doing it for the pleasure of the Lord? And how do you know that it's for the pleasure of the Lord? And Bhaktiville says right here, Prabhupada warns about our ego fooling us. Yes. So that's a real caution. I just wanted to throw that particular caution in there in this discussion. All right, let me continue. That which is in relationship to Krishna can never be immoral. To give another example, Lord Krishna, in his incarnation as Nrsingadev, killed Hiranyakashipu, the father of Prahlad Maharaj, while Prahlad Maharaj stood nearby without protesting. Now, is this moral? Who would like to see his own father being killed? Who would just stand there and not protest? No one would approve of such behavior and say that it is moral. Nonetheless, this actually happened. Not only that, but Prahlad Maharaj even made a garland to place upon the neck of the killer. My dear Lord Killer, he said, please take this garland. You have killed my father, and you are very good. This must be understood spiritually. If one's father is being attacked and one cannot protect him, one must protest and cry for help. But because Prahlad Maharaj's father was killed by Krishna in the form of Lord Nrsingadev, Prahlad Maharaj prepared a garland for the killer. After his father was killed, Prahlad said to Nrsingadev, "My dear Lord, now that my father has been killed, everyone is happy. Now please withdraw your angry mood." A sadhu, a saintly person, never approves of killing, not even the killing of an animal. But Prahlad Maharaj said, "Modita sadhur api rishchika sarpahatya." Even a saintly person is pleased when a scorpion or a snake is killed. A scorpion or a snake is also a living entity, and a sadhu is never satisfied when he sees another living entity killed. But Prahlad Maharaj said, even a sadhu is pleased when a snake or scorpion is killed. My father was just like a snake or a scorpion, and therefore now that he has been killed, everyone is happy. Hiranyakashipu was a very dangerous demon who gave trouble to devotees, and when such a demon is killed, even saintly persons are satisfied, although ordinarily they never want anyone killed. Therefore, although it may appear that Lord Krishna or Prahlad Maharaj acted immorally, in fact, they acted in accord with the highest morality. Krishna is a Kinchanavita, the only solace for one who has lost everything material. In the Chaitanya Charitamrita, Lord Krishna says, if someone wants me, but at the same time wants material prosperity, he is a fool. Krishna is so kind that if one wants material prosperity, but at the same time wants to become a devotee, Krishna makes him a failure in material life. Therefore, people are very much afraid of coming to Krishna consciousness. Oh, they think my material prosperity will be finished. Generally, people go to church or a temple to pray to God for material prosperity. Oh God, give us our daily bread. But although they are approaching God for material prosperity, give me this, give me that, they are also considered pious because they approach God, unlike the atheists who never approach him. Why shall I approach God? The atheist says. I shall create my own wealth, and by advancement of science I shall be happy. One who thinks, for my own prosperity I shall depend on my own strength and my own knowledge, is a dushkriti, a most sinful person. But one who thinks, my prosperity depends on the mercy of God, is pious. It is a fact that without the sanction of God, nothing can be achieved. Tava tanur idam tanupikshitanam. And that is, I have the translation off on the side, but I only did the words. I did. Let's see what Prabhupada has to say. I can't even read it. It's so silly what I wrote. We have discovered many methods by which to counteract distress, but when freedom from such distress is not sanctioned by God, these methods will fail. For example, a sick man may have very good medicine and a qualified physician, but if we ask the physician, can you guarantee the life of this patient? The doctor will always say, no, I cannot do so. I try my best, that's all. An intelligent doctor knows the ultimate sanction is in the hand of God. I am simply an instrument. If God does not want the patient to live, then all my medicines and all my scientific medical knowledge will fail. I'm looking up my note again in the margin. It's really useless. All right, moving on. The ultimate sanction, therefore, is Krishna. Those who are foolish do not know this, and therefore they are called muda, rascals. They do not know that although whatever they are doing may be very good, if it is not ultimately sanctioned by God, by Krishna, it will all be a failure. On the other hand, a devotee knows, with whatever intelligence I have, I may try to become happy, but without Krishna's sanction, I shall never be happy. This is the distinction between a devotee and a non-devotee. So again, this is another qualifying element that you can add to discern the quality of the devotee. As mentioned before, Krishna says, one who tries to approach me to become Krishna conscious, but at the same time wants to become materially happy, is not very intelligent. He is wasting his time. Our main business is to become Krishna conscious. That is the main business of human life. If we waste our time striving for material improvement and forget to chant Hare Krishna, that will be a great loss. Therefore, Krishna says, Ami Vinya e murke vishaya kena diba. From the Chaitanya Charitamrita Madhya Lila 2239. A rascal may ask some material prosperity from me in exchange for discharging devotional service. But why shall I give him material prosperity? Rather, whatever he has, I shall take away. When our material assets are taken away, we become very morose. That is the test. Question here. How long do devotees live? What? I'm not sure I understand your question. They will die if everything is taken away. Oh, living that way, yeah. Well, it's the point is that they're depending on Krishna. Krishna takes everything. He doesn't take everything away. Even the Goswamis had a little bit of flour to make a dry chapati, so, and they had some rags to cover themselves. They were at that point. But, not everybody's at that point. He gradually takes things slowly takes them away. We used to say that the more Krishna likes you, the more he takes away. So there you go. We get like that when we get old. That's right. Exactly. So gradually things get taken away. Our sight goes, our hearing goes, our everything goes, our hips hurt, or whatever, all these things. The point is, he knows me. The point is that, this is the time. Don't waste your time. Focus on this, Krishna. Focus on your sadhana. Focus on your relationship. Focus on your chanting. All right, move on. When our material assets are taken away, we become very morose. But that is the test. That was stated by Krishna himself to Yudhishthira Maharaj. Yudhishthira Maharaj inquired from Krishna, we are completely dependent on you, but still, we are suffering materially so much. Our kingdom has been taken away. Our wife has been insulted, and our enemies attempted to burn us in our house. How can this be so? Krishna replied, Yasyaham anugranami. Harish, he said it much better than this. Harishe tadanam shanai. Yes, that is my first business. If I especially favor someone, then I take away all his sources of income and place him into great difficulty. In this way, Krishna is very dangerous. This is Srila Prabhupada speaking, I have actual experience in this connection. I do not wish to narrate this whole story, but it is a fact that I received Krishna's special favor in this way. When I was 25 years old, My Guru Maharaj, my spiritual master, ordered me to go preach. But I thought, first of all, I shall become a rich man, and then I shall use my money to finance the preaching work. I had good opportunities to become a very rich businessman. An astrologer even told me that I should have become as rich as the wealthiest man in India. There were very good chances. I was the manager of a big chemical factory. I started my own factory, and the business was very successful. But eventually, everything collapsed, and in this way, I was forced into the position of carrying out the orders of my Guru Maharaj. When all my material assets were taken away, then I approached Krishna saying, "You are the only shelter." Sri Krishna Sharanam Mama. Therefore, Krishna is a Kinchanavita, the property of the materially impoverished. When one is bereft of all material opulences, then one turns to Krishna. And now I'm realizing that I have not lost, but gained. So to lose material opulences for Krishna's sake is not a loss. Rather, it is the greatest gain. When one becomes a Kinchana, having nothing to possess, Krishna becomes one's only riches. Expressing this understanding, Narottam Das Prabhu Thakur says, Haha Prabhu Nanda Sutta, Rishabhanu Sutta Yuta, Karuna Karaha E Bora, Narottama Dasa Kohe, Na Tiliya Range Poi, Tumi Vina Keache Amara. Krishna, but for you, I have nothing to claim. I have no possessions. You are my only possession, so please don't neglect me. So the translation of that whole verse I'll read for you. O Lord Krishna, son of Nanda, accompanied by the daughter of Vrishabhanu, please be merciful to me now. Narottam Das says, O Lord, please do not push me away from your reddish lotus feet, for who is my beloved except for you? This position is very nice. When one does not depend on anything material, but simply depends on Krishna, one has attained the first-class position of Krishna consciousness. Therefore, Krishna is addressed as a Kinchanavita. When one becomes materially impoverished, you are the only wealth. Here's a comment. Bhaktiville says, would everyone have that experience with loss of all things material? No, just the devotees. The devotees, our goal is to see Krishna's hand in everything. And so if we see that we're materially losing things, things are going overboard or, going away, we say, "Oh, Krishna, what is it? What is it you want? What is happening here? Am I supposed to be learning something from this?" So that's our approach. Our approach is that everything that happens, we see the hand of Krishna in everything. Bhaktiville says, or would we feel the need to lose everything? Well, like you said, if we lost everything, what really, I'm not sure I could live on a dry chapati and rags, but some people can. Krishna knows your heart. He knows what you can and can't do. We don't have to lose everything, and we don't have to chuck it all out the window either. And I'm sure that Prabhupada will get to this, but we just want to use what we have in Krishna's service. Is there a story about a snake that just got fed? He lived like a snake. Oh, but his belly was full? I see. That's interesting. It's in the Bhagavatam? Okay, we'll look for it next time. I'll come back. I'll write this down and come back to it. All right, so Krishna is a Kinchana Vita. Namo Kinchana Vitaya Nivrita Guna Vritaye. When one takes you as one's only possession, one immediately becomes free from the activities of material nature. That's from Srimad Bhagavatam, first canto, eighth chapter, 27th verse. He says, "My obeisances are unto you, who are the property of the materially impoverished." Oh, that's this verse. What a silly me. That's this verse. So, in other words, by accepting Krishna in this way, one attains the transcendental position of the Absolute. Atmaramaya. At that time, one becomes happy with you. Krishna, you are happy with yourself, and one who surrenders to you becomes happy as you are. So Atmarama is someone who is self-satisfied in a spiritual way. Atmarama. There is no difference between Krishna's body and Krishna himself. He is entirely self, entirely spirit. We, on the other hand, have a body that is different from ourselves. I am self, but I possess a material body. But when we actually become dependent on Krishna, who is completely self-satisfied, we can also be self-satisfied with Krishna. Kaivalya Pataye Namaha. This is the last part of that verse. The Mayavadi philosophers, the monists, want to become one with the Supreme. The Supreme is self-satisfied, and they also want to be self-satisfied by becoming one with the Supreme. Our philosophy of Krishna consciousness is the same, but instead of becoming one with Krishna, we depend on Krishna. That is actual oneness. If we simply agree to abide by the orders of Krishna and have no disagreement with him, we are situated in actual oneness. The Mayavadi philosophers think, why shall I keep my individual separate existence? I shall merge into the Supreme. That is not possible. From the very beginning, we are separated parts of Krishna. Krishna therefore says in Bhagavad Gita, my dear Arjuna, you should know that you, I, and all the persons assembled on this battlefield were individuals in the past. We are individuals at present, and in the future we shall continue to remain individuals. Nityo nityanam chaitanas chaitananam. We hear this a lot, this verse. That is, the Supreme Lord is eternal. The individual living entities are also eternal. So Krishna is the Supreme Nitya, the Supreme living force, and among the innumerable living forces. We are entities, jiva, and innumerable, ananta, which means infinite. There is no counting how many we are. Similarly, Krishna is also a living entity, but he is the chief, the supreme living entity. That is the difference. One leader may have followers. Similarly, Krishna, the supreme living entity, is the supreme leader, and we are subordinate, dependent living entities. That we are dependent is not very difficult to understand. If Krishna does not supply us food, we shall starve, because independently we cannot produce anything. Eko bahunam yovidadati kaman. Krishna is maintaining everything, and we are being maintained. Therefore, Krishna is the real predominator, and we should be willing to be predominated. I just want to go back a little bit. So that verse that Prabhupada quotes, the first part, Nityo Nityanam Chaitanas Chaitananam, Eko Bahunam Yovidadati Kaman. That's the second part of it, of that same verse. And that's exactly what it means. The Supreme Lord is eternal, living beings are eternal. The Supreme Lord is cognizant, the living entities are cognizant. The difference is that the Supreme Lord is supplying all the necessities of life for the many other living entities. So Krishna is maintaining everything, and we are being maintained. Therefore, Krishna is the real predominator, and we should be willing to be predominated. That is our natural constitutional position. If we falsely want to become predominators in this material world, we are in illusion. We must give up this illusion and always try to be predominated by Krishna. Then our life will be successful. Bhaktiville has a question. What he is saying about Krishna is who we have to have a relationship yet with. Yes. Yes, exactly. He's the one amongst all the zeros. So that's the chapter for today, which explains why Krishna is the property of the impoverished. Such a great lecture that he gave about that. You're welcome. Thank you, Bhaktiville. Any questions or comments anyone wants to make or ask? No? I hope that my tangential comments were helpful. You have one more round. All right. Good job. Shell has a question or a comment. I love that point you made about intent when dealing with spiritual versus material. Thank you. I think that's really important to look at our motivation. Um, so many horrible things in the world have been done in the name of spirituality. So I think that we need to always question ourselves. Yes, good point. Exactly. Exactly. Um, and, get to know yourself so that you know your motivation for things, um, and get to know these different points within this text. Srila Prabhupada is always saying the unalloyed devotee this, the unalloyed devotee that. Those all become definitions for what a pure devotee is. Just I should be writing those things down because um, not only is it good for us to understand our own motivation and our own self, but it's good to use that as a lens to look at other things or as a sieve to sort things out. So, and you can yes, filter them out, and you can transcend yourself if you chant. Maybe that's not the point, though. We don't want to transcend ourself. We want to uncover ourself. We want to uncover that relationship with Krishna. We want to enrich that relationship and rub off all the other stuff, get rid of all the other stuff. um, we are transcendental. We don't have to become transcendental. We are transcendental. What we have to do is get rid of. We have to act it. We have to act it. Yes, we have to act it, and the way to do that is you're chanting, but you have to. It's the covering. It's like a seed popping out of a shell. It's, grow in that spiritual self. So that stuff falls off. It will just fall off the more you're associating with Krishna and reading and chanting and singing and, doing different kinds of service. All right. Sorry, I got off there. Um, like if you are doing something that isn't really motivated by something good, by good intent, yes, then let it go. Yeah, just let it go. Walk away. I don't really need to tell my daughter bloody bloody blah about sewing. She's frustrated enough and doesn't need her mother hanging over her and telling her stuff. So just let it go. Just let it go. Um, so, but the process is not to transcend ourself, but to reveal our transcendental self. And by chanting and being involved in all these things and knowing these things, that's why I'm pointing out these things that Srila Prabhupada is saying about unalloyed devotees, and that those qualities you can, oh, I just did that. Oh my gosh, that's one of those transcendental qualities. Oh my gosh, I'm going to just keep that inside myself and try and nurture that little bit that I just discovered about myself, and keep going. Just keep going. And Krishna will reveal more, and things will grow, and your transcendental self will be revealed. Your mind can become your best friend. Yes. Yes, it can. It can become your best friend. Your mind is the way that you are interpreting all of this data, all of this stuff that's coming in. Um, and you have to train your mind to use these filters that we have in Bhagavad Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam and Prabhupada, what Prabhupada is saying. Um, and you're saying, and your mind engages. Yes, it engages in everything. So use that as your best friend, not as the one who obsesses about whatever, medical issues, money, food, whatever. Don't let it go there. Oops, sorry. Don't let it go there. Try and keep it. Not that you're going to say, oh my God, don't do that. Just say, okay, just let it go. Come back over here to Krishna. Krishna's taking care of you. Everything's good. It's all good. So, a lot of this is me talking about me, but I think it's applicable to others. I hope you don't mind. Oh, good. Oh, good. I'm glad. Shell says it is. Okay, good. All right, my friends, I can talk forever. This is my favorite subject in the world to talk about, but our time is way over time. So thank you so much for coming. Um, I will be here on Friday next week. We are also here on Sunday mornings at 10, Second Lifetime, to read Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur's Bhagavad Arkamarichimala, the 1,000 favorite verses he has from Bhagavatam. And then Tuesday nights at 7 p.m., Second Lifetime, Joey leads, or Bhaktivinoda leads Bhagavad Gita. And we're in chapter 14, so we're moving right along. All right, thank you again, everyone. And of course, thank you to Srila Prabhupada. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Hare Krishna.